1 minute. You will just magnify, zoom it so that it will.
Now it's perfect, sir. After you magnified, yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. No, this will be too big. This will be too big.
Yeah, that's too big. A little what you did just now. Yeah, this is enough.
Okay. 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 So, thank you for inviting me to give this lecture. And I'm very happy that today we are going to deal on the topic, actual topic of the points of articulation of the letters of the Sanskrit language. Today we are going to exclusively deal with the class consonants. That is the ka, ta, ka, cha, ta, ta, and pa Vargiya consonants. So before we start the actual deliberation on this subject, something new has occurred to me during the past a month or so, and that gives a clue as to the importance of the Shiksha Patha in Vedic grammar as well as in yoga. In both, it is important that Shiksha Path should be updated, made more precise, and that is what I'm going to do. And the reason thereof, I'll just read what I want to present. The fourfold nature of Vak, which has come down to us through the Rig Veda, that is 164 by 45. This fourfold nature of Vak has been interpreted by thinkers in the Kashmir Shaivism, as also by Bhartrhari and Abhinav Gupta. In the later centuries, the four stages of Vak came to be described as Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. Without going into the details of the description of the above thinkers, let us try to understand the four words independently. It is necessary to make aware that speech, which is the instrument of communication, internally goes through different stages before it comes out in the form of words or in the form of Vaikhari. Words by themselves, in the first place, appear as any sounds we hear. That is, we hear words by our ears. However, words are those human sounds on which meaning is modulated. That words carry meaning with it. They are not just sounds. They are modulated over the words, over those sounds, are modulated its meaning. Just as you have amplitude modulation or frequency modulation, similarly, meaning is modulated over words. They are those sounds which humans use for communication. In other words, words carry sense as they are capable of directing the attention of the listener. The Vaikhari is the objective manifestation of speech, which is used for communication. It is meant for the other. Now, the Vaikhari part of speech is for the other, because the listener listens and takes the meaning. Therefore, Vaikhari distinguishes the word into its three aspects. That is the communicator, the sound characteristics of speech, and the listener. So, Vaikhari, there are three, three objectives that are fulfilled by the Vaikhari. That is, the communicator gets installed. Then the sound characteristics, because words appear as sound, you can investigate the sound characteristics. And the third is the listener. The process undergoing in the listener is the mirror image of the process undergoing in the communicator in the opposite direction. So when you hear the speaker, the communicator communicates, he speaks out, he utters the word, and the listener has, in him, it has to go in the opposite way. That is, if in the communicator it is Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari. In the listener, it is Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and he doesn't know where it goes. In short, the process of speech ends in the Vaikhari in the case of the communicator, while in the case of the listener, it begins with it. The Madhyama is the active part of speech, of which the Vaikhari is the product. It consists of the different articulators of the organs of speech which interact to produce the Vaikhari. In the case of the communicator, the Madhyama is objective. You can feel that you are speaking. There is movement of the asya as well as the tongue, jaw, etc. In the case of the communicator, the Madhyama is objective. That is, its activity can be sensed by the communicator himself. However, in the case of the listener, it is dormant. He doesn't feel that something is going on in his mouth. That Madhyama is dormant. For example, when I say Kaha Vadati, the person who is listening, he doesn't listen to the sound. Something more takes place in his mouth when he is listening to it. When I say Kaha, this is resonated in the Madhyama of the listener also. So this is important. Kaha Vadati. So the three stages, at least the first three stages of the Vak are there in the communicator as well as in the listener. The Pashyanti is the stage where the meaning or sense that the communicator is stimulated to convey is sequentially coalesced with the articulators or the Madhyama, which are then put into action. As a result, one can withhold speech at this stage. So that the Pashyanti exists, how can you say that there is something called Pashyanti? Because there is a point at which you can hold your Madhyama and the Vaikhari. The point where you can hold it is the Pashyanti. The Para is that of which the communicator cannot make himself aware. As the communicator cannot figure out the origin of the stimulation, this stage of speech has been described as the Para. It is beyond. It is beyond Pashyanti and we cannot make any sense out of it. We cannot investigate it. We cannot know its nature, all those things. In short, the Para is the source or origin of speech, which remains unfathomable, and therefore it is called as Para. The Vaikhari as the objective world and the Para as the Brahman. Now here we have created an analogy between the stages of the Vak and the world around us and the Brahman. In the tradition, there are different views regarding the relation between the objective reality, that is the Jagat, and the Brahman. In the aforesaid discussion, we saw that the Vaikhari is an objective reality and the Para, the origin or the source of the creation of speech, to which we have no clue. It remains inaccessible. The same is the case with the relationship between the objective world and the Brahman. However, in the various discussions on the nature of the relation between the objective world and the Brahman, no discussion is available on the intermediate stages between the objective world and the Brahman. The fourfold nature of Vak provides the clue. The Madhyama and the Pashyanti, the intermediate stages between the Vaikhari and Para. The Pashyanti as the coalescer of meaning and Shabda is also the drashta of various interactions between matter in the world. So the Pashyanti can also be related to the drashta of Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra. So this Pashyanti is nothing else but the drashta. In the drashta, he is only the overseer. But here, in the case of Vak, the Pashyanti it has activity in it. It coalesces the meaning with the word. The Madhyama, the material interactions between objects in the real world or the organs of human speech. So what is the objective world? It is nothing but the articulators that are there in the human voice organ. So this we can draw a relationship between the four stages of Vak and the Brahman as related to the Jagat. Because both the Jagat is also objective and the Brahman is also objective. This objectivity to the Brahman is given by the nature of the Para, which we can say that beyond this we cannot go. So this also defines the limits of human knowledge. The limits of human knowledge are limited to the extent of words, because the Pashyanti has to coalesce itself with a word. If it cannot coalesce with itself with any word that it has in its vocabulary, it cannot understand what it is. So this is the sum and substance of the relationship or the importance of the intermediate stages of Vak. That is and here today we are going to look into the nature of the Madhyama as far as the plosive consonants are concerned. So let us start. One more thing is that this can also become a study or a dhyana on Vak. It can also become a framework for release or moksha. So Akshar Brahma is a factual condition. It is not a speculative framework. Consonants, let us start. Consonants are a key to the evolution of human language. Consonants modulate vowels. Why consonants are important? Because they modulate vowels. We have only say 9 a, e, u, r, l, a, o, I, o. Now these 7 a, e, u, r, l, a, o, I, o, 9 vowels are modulated in a number of ways when they are when they are attached to consonants. So when we attach a vowel to a consonant, the vowel gets modulated. And so as in the case of colors, that out of 3 colors, we can get a huge number of intermediate colors by which we can paint in as if it is a reality. In the same way, these consonants are modulating the vowels. Now, in the animal kingdom, all communication is achieved with the help of calls, which we can call vowels. They are calls. And in the previous seminar, I said that there is what are calls? The aksharas are calls. However, they have to be transformed into varnas before they can be used in words. These calls are limited and hence limit the scope of communication in the animal kingdom. In humans too, communication essentially takes place with the help of vowels. We are actually communicating with the help of vowels. What the consonants are doing, they are creating a huge array of vowels. That is what the consonants do. However, on account of consonants that modulate vowels, humans have a plethora of vowel sounds. Consonants color vowels. Therefore, it is also called vyanjan. It is a coloring agent. In other words, in human speech, vowels are tagged to consonants. Thus, the same vowel, when suffixed to different consonants, sound differently and hence are easily decipherable. Thus, consonants play a key role in the creation of words. Take the words Kirini and Girini for example. These words have been quoted by Patanjali. Except for the letter or akshara ka and ga, there is no difference. However, there is difference in meaning. So consonants have changed the meaning of the word. Similarly, take the words artha, arkaha. Here too we find that except for the letter tha and ka, there is no difference. However, the meaning of the two words is different. Another example is that of supaha, upaha, and yupaha. Here too, except for the letters sa, ka, and ya, there is no difference, and yet they mean very different things. In our previous webinar, we characterized vowels by jivva, asya, and prayatna, and consonants by jivva, stan, and prayatna. Here we see that the distinguishing feature of a vowel is asya, and that of the consonant is stana. Individually, neither of them can convey meaning. The reason being, vowels make up the matter of words and consonants therefore akruti. So vowels are the padartha and akruti are the characteristic features of consonants. On account of sthana, that akruti comes because of sthana. Unless both coalesce into one to form a varna, they do not acquire that property which they are out to represent. That is, represent things. Things are form and matter at the same time. The two are inseparable. Thus, a word becomes capable of taking the place of a thing. So this is important. That is what consonants afford or give words is their akruti, their form. And therefore, investigation into the consonants is very important. The importance of Jiva Stan in the evolution of the concept of Savarna. Now, how do you say that one consonant is replaceable by another consonant? What is the logic behind it? This is what we are going to see in this section. In the Ashtadhyayi, Panini writes, Tulyasya Prayatnam Savarnam, meaning whose Prayatna and Asya are comparable, they are said to be Savarna. How this sutra is very general, as the basis of their comparison have neither been stated in the Ashtadhyayi or in the Mahabhashya. Two letters or aksharas can be said to be comparable if one among the two characteristics are the same, taking prayatna to be the same for voicing all the letters or aksharas. Prayatna remains the same. Thus, if two letters or aksharas have to be savarnas of one another, they should share one of the two characteristics, either sthana or jivva in the case of consonants, and jivva and asya in the case of vowels. How the Paniniya Shiksha is incapable of resolving the concept of savarna. The Paniniya Shiksha gives the areas of phonation, 5 class consonants to be Kantha, Talavya, Murdhanya, Dantavya and Oshtavya. Ka, Cha, Ta, Ta and Pa consonants respectively. The area of phonation of each class of consonants being different, how can one class consonant become the savarna of another class? Moreover, because the stan is changing. Moreover, when the shape of the tongue, that is jiva, has not been accounted for in the Paniniya Shiksha, the Paniniya Shiksha doesn't talk about the shape of the tongue. So this becomes insufficient to define how savarna is an actuality. It is a reality. It is not something that is just grammatical. It is an objective phenomenon that they are what you homologues. That why they are homologues? Because they share one common property. How did the consonants evolve in humans? The tongue, which is the most important organ in the human vocal mechanism, is capable of being continuously lifted and touched to the palate. You can lift the tongue. This is important. Otherwise, you can't have consonants. Similarly, the upper and the lower lips too can be touched to each other. This characteristic feature necessitates an evolution of the anatomical, muscular and neural organs to a certain degrees, whence through lingual play, words evolved. Class consonants are produced as a result of plosion at a certain defined point on the palate and kantha, giving out a specific sound. The sound thus produced is recognized by the sound that is produced. The thing is produced, what is produced, it is represented by the same thing. Now, this becomes a problem. So, if we have to define ka or ta, it is not sufficient that if I say ta, this is ta. Until and unless I define the vidhi of that akshara, the description doesn't become complete. It is not a complete description. Because the vidhi, something more has to be defined if I have to say this is ka. So I have to describe it in the form of a vidhi. Now this vidhi, you can have it for all letters, but my Guruji, Shivkumar Chaturvedi, I was also where he asked me that you say ta. I said ta. He said this is not ta. Then I asked him what is ta. Then he told me the vidhi for ta. The vidhi for ta is you put your head down, touch your tongue murdanya, that is retroflexively on the palate, and just give out a sound and lift your head. Ta. So this becomes ta. So the question is, if we have to have a Shiksha part, the Vidhi also needs to be described. That is what I will be stating in this, describing in this webinar. The Vidhi to be instructed and not the letter. If I say Ka, this cannot become an instruction until and unless I instruct the Vidhi. The sound produced on the on articulation is the product and hence by itself cannot be the framework for instruction. It is therefore necessary that a complete description of the Vidhi be rendered, whence alone Shiksha will become feasible. There are various ways in the tradition. Now, how we can do this? What are the various forms? What I am doing is I am doing the description part of it. But how can you say this is the to the same point of phonation of that ka? There are the Sanskrit grammar provides ample frameworks for saying ka without saying the word, not ka as in. Am I audible?
Yes, sir,
My
you are audible.
internet is okay, and I got a notice. ठीक है.
No, you are audible, sir.
There are various ways in the tradition that offer scope for reconciliation of each consonant. Now, each consonant can be reconciled. Following are the various ways in which one can ascertain the exact point of phonation for each of the consonants of a class, as well as for each class of consonants. How can an object or act stand for itself? Here, the sound and the name after which it is called is one and the same. In Sanskrit, while addressing the letter, the suffix karah is used. So this makes the instruction a word. So kara is suffixed to the letter in order that it become a word. Here in the word kakarah, the letter ka is phonated without a suffix a. When I say kakarah, it is not kakarah. Ka doesn't have a vowel attached to it. It is kakarah, chakarah. There is no a in that. So it is a pure consonant sound. So kakarah, khakarah, gakarah, ghakarah, ngakarah. So this is one way in which they have, this is a way in which you can use it. Here, phonated without a suffixed a. Thus, akarah, here a is a vowel. Akarah, akarah, ikarah, ikarah, etc. And kakarah, chakarah, takarah, and not kakarah, chakarah, and takarah. This also proves that class consonants are not mutes. Secondly, even though the consonants above are not suffixed with a vowel, the time interval between the ka, that is the consonant, and the karah is one matra. As two successive discrete acts can be physiologically performed with a minimum time interval of one matra. This is the condition. If you are doing two acts, the minimum time that is required is physiologically fixed. Therefore, you need not have a vowel to fill in that gap. The act itself takes that much time for phonation. One more way of instructing the class consonants is by virukti. That is kaka, khaka, gaga, ghaga. This can also be used to define the place of phonation. And like this for all class consonants. Another way of confirming the points of phonation of each class or of each of the class consonants is the Maheshwar Sutras themselves. If you say khapa chatata chatatava, it is defining the points. So this is also another method. In addition, we can also check the points of phonation of the class consonants with the sutras kata chapata, this which I have made, kata chapata, khata chapata, or kachata tapat, khachata tapat. With these sutras, one can verify and validate the points of articulation each of the class consonants. In our previous webinar, Veda Samamna, we made sutras to phonate the class consonants.
748
Mute. Has anybody to say anything? Hello?
No, sir, I have muted them, sir. By chance, they are just unmuted. I muted them. You please carry on, sir. Sorry for the disturbance.
In our previous webinar on Varna Samamna, we made sutras to phonate the class consonants by suffixing vowels. Sutras can also be made by prefixing vowels to consonants. They will read as follows. Aka, Acha, Ata, Ata, Apa, and so on for the consonants, or similarly, Aka, Akha, Aga, Agha, Nga, and so on for the other consonants. In this way, with the help of different methods, we can verify and reconcile the points of phonation or articulation of each of the class consonants in situ, that is without the use of words. The most important takeaway by using the above methods is that the class consonants of each of the cha, ta, ta class are phonated from the same areas in the oral cavity. Suppose I say cha-cha, and I say tata, and I say tata. At the same area, you are phonating all the three class first consonant of each of the class. So cha, ta, and ta are phonated from the same place. Yeah, it is not what is being said in the Paniniya Shiksha. Are phonated from the same area in the oral cavity. The difference between them is that while phonating consonants of each of the above class consonants, the shape of the tongue is unique to each class. Here, when I am saying cha-cha, the shape of the tongue is different from when I am saying tata or when I am saying tata. So here the shape of the tongue also becomes important, and it is also you can sense it. So this method helps us to define the point of phonation of the class consonants, and at the same time, 1 minute. And at the same time, also see the shape of the tongue in our mouth. We will describe the shape of the tongue while phonating each of the class consonants later in the article. The question is, what is the physiological reason for these specific points of phonation in the oral cavity, and why no other points of phonation? A question can be asked, why ta has to be phonated at that place alone? The reason thereof is that though we can touch the tongue continuously along the palate, we cannot continuously press the tongue along the palate. If you just move the tongue along the palate, you can move it. So when something gets stuck on the palate, by moving the tongue, we remove it. There is a furthermost, the tongue can go to a particular point. That is the end point. But we cannot press the tongue at each of these points. The place where the consonants are phonated, at those points, the tongue can be pressed against the palate. For example, when we say ta, at the place of phonation of the ta, we can press the tongue to the palate by this. So, in this way also, we can define the points of phonation of each of the consonants. There are only specific discrete points at which we can press the tongue against the palate. Now that is defined by the muscles of the face. Thus, class consonants are produced when two independent parts of the vocal mechanism are capable of being pressed against each another, and this can be physiologically defined to be numbered, and therefore resulting in a defined number of class consonants, no more and no less. It is only in Sanskrit that all the consonants of each class are used in word construction and in speech, and hence it is important that one is conversant with each of the points of phonation, he uses them while speaking Sanskrit. Now one more point. These points of phonation are universal in man. They are not one for one people staying in one country and different for people staying in another country. They are universal. And therefore, the last consonants are universal in nature. Not because we use them, but because the physiological structure enables man to speak those consonants. These points of phonation are universal in man. They are nature given. It goes to the credit of those who innovated Sanskrit with the help of the instruments of language given by nature to an extent that subsequently Panini could resolve it into a systematic set of rules given in his Ashtadhyayi. So this is the introduction to the whole. Now we will go into the actual part of it. Now here, according to the Paniniya Shiksha, Kanthavya, Kavarga, Talavya, Tavarga, Murdhanya, Tavarga, Dantavya, Tavarga, and Ostavya, Pavarga. However, now in the next figure, you will see that these are. Can you see this nicely, or I need to magnify it?
Sir, it is visible, sir.
Visible. So here we have drawn the different parts, the different areas of the mouth, and numbered those areas. So you will see that on the lips, there are 5 places at which we can press the lips. For pa, 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 ma. So though it is Ostavya, the point of contact of the 2 lips can be, they can be pressed at 5 different points. And at each of that point, one of the consonant is phonetic. So if I say pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So you will see that the point of contact changes. Similarly, in the alveolar region, you have 4 points where we phonate the soft plosive consonants. Then we have the palatal, where we can phonate the consonants of the cha, ta, and ta varga. Then the velar, at where we phonate the soft consonants, that is ka, kha, ga, gha. There is no nga there. Nga becomes a vowel. And the pharyngeal, that is ka at the first point, ka at the second, ka at the third, ga at the fourth, and nga at the fifth. So there are 5 points, and at each of these points, different consonants are phonetic. After taking a closer look at the above diagram, one will find. So what are we finding? I will not go through, I will not read. I'll just speak. So on the lips, on the 2 lips, there are 5 points which make contact with one another. Now here, the tongue has virtually no role to play, because the tongue lies on the ground, and we say pa, 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 bha, ma. So each, you will see that the point changes, and you will see it spatial. When I say pa, what is happening when you are listening? In your mind, you are saying pa, though the madhyama is dormant. And therefore, it is not because you have an ear that you hear it. No. Why can a dog not understand pa? Because he cannot replicate his madhyama with my sound, spatial. So pa, when I say pa, each of you who are listening, in their minds at the madhyama, at the pashyanti level, you will see that you are saying pa. When I say pa, it is a spatial indicator. So therefore, sthana is important, because it gives dimension to the consonant as a place. So similarly, in the case of ta, now you see, I am saying ta, you all try to resonate with it, ta, and I say ta. What is happening? It is changing. If when I say ta, it is alveolar. When I say ta, it becomes palatal. So the listener not only listens to the sound that he is making, through his madhyama, his pashyanti becomes active. So here the communication becomes immediate, and it becomes what we can say sympathetic. That you are forced to work in the same way in the opposite direction. So when I say pa, your first is your vaikhari that is being initiated, the ear, then it goes to the madhyama, and then the pashyanti where you can sense that this is pa. Suppose I say ta and I say ta, so you will, on the basis of the vowel that or sound that is created, you will phonate the two tas at different places. Similarly, with the case of say ta and ta, ta and ta. So the difference in the sounds of the consonants clue you to the place of phonation of that consonant, not the word. No, and in the case of the word, each one, when consonants follow one another, because the place of phonation is different, what is happening? It starts getting an akruti. For example, kaha vadati. Now what is happened? Kaha vadati nahi. Kaha vadati, your pashyanti will not get activated because it has not been correctly phoneted. But if I say kaha vadati, so you can, each of the consonant that is there in the vowel will give a sense of akruti. When I say upaha, you will have a different akruti than when I say kupaha. So these consonants invariably contribute to the structure of the word or the akruti of the word. So secondly, what is the difference? So when I say ta, what is the shape of the tongue? When I say ta, the shape of the tongue is straight. At the same place, when I say cha, the tongue gets spread. When I say ta, it becomes retroflex. So point of phonation is the same, but the shape of the tongue is different. So this distinguishes one class of consonant from the other. That is, ta is distinguished from cha and cha from ta, or other way around. The reason for we being capable of distinguishing it is not on account of the sthana, as is evident in the Paniniya Shiksha, but because of the shape of the tongue. Now, this shape of the tongue is evident even in the vowel. For example, when I say oh, the shape of the tongue is like to. Oh. When I say e, the shape of the tongue is like cha. When I say u, you will see that the tip of the tongue gets lifted behind. So these consonants have an internal relationship with the vowels also. They have evolved, the consonants have evolved from vowels. So this is important. So first of all, what we want to describe is there is a two-way differentiation of each of the class consonants. One is by the place of phonation, and secondly, by the shape of the tongue. So going further, I think you have had a very clear view. Now, one more thing. Now, when we are saying pa, ha, ba, bha, ma, the two articulators are the two lips. When we are saying ta, at the alveolar place, the laminal is touching the alveolar. So it will come ta. However, when I am saying the velar ta, the anterior dorsal is touching the palatal. It becomes ta. So this is ta and this is ta. Similarly, in the case of cha, this tongue gets spread. The laminal only touches cha. And when we are saying cha here, it spreads and the anterior dorsal touches the palatal. Cha. So the tongue moves behind. For the first cha, the tongue is ahead. the tongue has to be pulled back. It has to go behind for the other cha. So it becomes cha and cha, cha and cha. So same is the case with ta. Here the apical. Here the apical will touch the alveolar. Ta, ta. However, when we are saying ta at the palatal, the subapical will touch. Ta, ta. So this is the difference. So the tongue, in the case of the consonants, the shape of the tongue and the sthana, both are important. Then only you will have that chaste, what you call phonation. You will just say ta, that this will not be cha because the listener's perceptive will not be activated. When we say it at that exact point which nature has afforded us, the communication becomes perfect. So this is, now the other part is the ka part. In the case of this velar position, this posterior dorsal touches the velar here. So you say ka. And when we are saying the kanthya ka, the radical touches the pharyngeal. That is ka. This is ka and this is ka. So here also we find that there are two places of phonation for the 4 class consonants cha varga, ta varga, ta varga, and ka varga. So these 4 there are 2 kas, there are 2 khas, there are 2 gas, there are 2 ghas, and there is only one plosive nga. The beauty of it is this anuswara point, the yamas, the anuswara. What is an anuswara? How does the anuswara come into the picture? Now the anuswara is a product of the soft consonant. You find that at the alveolar, there are 4 places. Labial, there are 5 places. Even palatal, there are 5 places. Even at the pharyngeal, there are 5 places. But at the alveolar and post-alveolar, there are only 4 places. At the velar also, there are only 4 places. So where does the 5th consonant go? So ka, kha, ga, gha, nga cannot be plosive. So what happens in nga is that this nga becomes the so-called yama in the Paniniya Shiksha. So when I say akka, akha, agha, aga, agha, nga, you can't say nga. That cannot be phonetic. But if you say the kanthya, that is akka, akha, agga, agha, anga. This nga is plosive because there are 5 places. But here the nga becomes the yama, that is the vowel. It is a vowel. For example, in anga, this a is there. It has been suffixed to a nga, which is a vowel. So in anga, a and nga, that nga is the anuswara. That anuswara itself is a vowel. For example, you say, now for example, you say kantha. Kantha में न जो है, that is palatal. But kand, nowadays, na here has become a vowel. It is no more a consonant because there is no place for its phonation. And therefore, the yamas can be defined. So it is yamangana nama. These are plosive consonants. But nayananan, they are vowels because the tongue doesn't touch the palate at any place. So these yamas which are there while counting the 64 aksharas as per the Paniniya Shiksha are basically vowels. They are vowels, and I think in the Mahabhashya also many things have been said about this. So going further, is this clear? Is this clear? All of you, you have any points to raise? You have any doubts that are there that have risen in your mind?
Sir, as of now, it's clear, sir. After the session is over, we'll have a question answer session
ठीक है.
where they will raise the question, sir.
Okay, okay.
You can please continue.
So now I'll just go through it. On the surface, each of the lips, we find 5 points where we can press them against each other. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, respectively. So for here, 1, 1, 2, 2 is written. Now, each of the points produce the consonants pa, pha, ba, va, ma, respectively. On the alveolar and post-alveolar areas, we have 4 points at which we can press the tongue in 3 different modes. First, by pressing the laminal part of the tongue along the median. Secondly, by laterally pressing the laminal part of the blade of the tongue laterally. And thirdly, by folding the tip of the tongue backward and touching the apical portion of the tongue retroflexively. The articulatory modes are correspondingly used for voicing the th class, ch class, and t class soft consonants. Here we see how nature affords man the ability to produce 3 different class of consonants at the same points merely by changing the shape of the tongue. Thus, the shape of the tongue plays a pivotal role in the production of the th, ch, and t class consonants. Thus, at points 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we get the consonants t, ch, t, th, ch, th, the, j, d, and the, j, d, respectively. We will call these anteriorly phonated consonants as the soft class consonants, as soft consonants. Note that the respective anunasikas of these soft consonants are not plosive, and there is no point beyond, as there is no point beyond the fourth where the anunasikas of the soft class consonants can be plosively phonated. We will deal with them separately while dealing with the non-plosive letters or aksharas. Moving further to the points on the palate, we find that there are 5 points on it, where we can press the tongue in 3 different ways. We has it first by pressing the anterior dorsal part of the tongue along the median. Secondly, by laterally pressing the anterior dorsal part of the blade of the tongue laterally. And thirdly, by folding the tip of the tongue backward and touching the subapical portion of the tongue retroflexively. Thus, at points 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we get the consonants ta, cha, ta, tha, cha, tha, da, ja, da, dha, ja, dha, and na, ya, na, respectively. We will call these posteriorly phonated consonants as hard consonants. Here too before, phonologists have only demarcated the areas of phonation. However, that is not sufficient for a detailed study of phonation of Sanskrit letters. Each area is marked with numbered points in the diagram showing the place of phonation of successive letters. So at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, what you find is while we teach in schools or all our tongues, we phonate ka ahead of ka. We say ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. Now, when we are saying ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, that is phonating ka anterior to ka or kha anterior to ga, ga anterior to kha, like this. What happens is the tongue doesn't touch the palate. You say ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. Where is the tongue touching the palate? It is not touching. Only when you posteriorly place the subsequent letter in the class, then only the plosiveness will come. The spota will be there. That is ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, or cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. If you put it one after another, one ahead of the other, say cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, the contact between the palate and the tongue will go on reducing. So this is an important feature of upper-branch languages. The languages are upper-branch because the place of phonation of the consonants is not that which has been provided by nature or as they have to be defined by dharma.
Sir, Prabhakar Mahoday garu has has asked to describe a little. I'll tell you the points he has mentioned.
Ah.
One is, please explain the difference of pronunciation of vowel versus consonant in the mouth. The
हाँ हाँ
second is
ठीक है
also,
ठीक
please
है
explain the difference in pronunciation of Anunasika, Varna and others.
हाँ
And the
हाँ
third one is,
now
what
it
is the
is
difference in
what is the
pronunciation?
difference? What is the difference? in
What is the
Vasika and
pronunciation of
Shama.
Vargiya consonants
Yes.
versus Avargiya consonants?
That see people have pointed it out that there are these also there are yamas, 4 yamas, not 5. Why is there? It is there are not 5. There are only 4. So these 4 yamas are basically the vowels that have that when you want to phonate them, the tongue doesn't touch the in the case of ya, na and na, the tongue doesn't touch the alveolar part. Ngayananan, ngayananan, the tongue takes the shape of the respective consonants, but it doesn't touch the alveolar portion. However, when you are doing it with the class consonant, Panini in his Maheshwar Sutras has said, Yamangana Nama. Here there is complete contact and they are plosive in nature. If I say cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, here there is contact. With each successive, the contact might get reduced. It will go posterior. But when I say ngayananan, here the tongue is not touching. So how can we define where it is the place of phonation? And vowels are of the nature. What are vowels? Vowels are those letters wherein the tongue doesn't or no two organs of the mouth touch each other. For example, in the case of this Tulyasya Prayatnam Savarnam, I read Mahabhashya. In that Mahabhashya, he has described Shakara as being a vowel. Why? How does it become a vowel? How does Shakara become a vowel? Shakara is a vowel because the no two parts of the tongue are touching, of the mouth are touching each another. So, Shashasara, when you are saying Shashasara, the tongue is not touching anywhere. So, when the tongue touches a particular portion of the, when two organs of the articulatory mechanism touch one another, then we can say that they are pure consonants. When they do not touch, we have to categorize them as being vowels. So, Shashasara and Hayavarata and Lana, they are practically they have come from vowels themselves. If I say E and A, it becomes, if I immediately say it becomes Ya, or U and A becomes Va. If I R and A becomes Ara. These are the differences, and therefore Ra and La have been categorized in Sanskrit grammar as being half consonants because they are not plosive. They are consonant because two parts of the articulatory mechanism are touching one another. However, there is no plosion. They are different from the class consonant. Does this so? And the sutra that I have made is kata chapata, gada jabada, ngana yamana. In this, you will find that the tongue touches, two articulators touch one another. But if I say kachata tapat, khachata tapat, gajata dabat, gajata dabat, ngayana naman. In ngayana naman, two articulators do not touch each other. And therefore, this is the difference between the anuswara, that is the yamas, and the class consonant and the anunasikas of the class consonant. So this difference has to be taken. This difference is very subtle. And unless you understand this difference, your articulation will not be correct. So the anuswara is not a wrong character, but it is an undefined character. people they will not, for example, take the word Sanskrit. अभी संस्कृत में स के after sa there is another sa. Now what is the sa? Sa is a savarna of ta. If sa is a savarna of ta, then the anunasika of ta should come. So it should be Sanskrit. In Marathi they say Sanskrit. South India they say Sanskrit. Now what is the reason behind? So each of the yamas are really savarnas of the plosive anunasikas of each class. So here, so therefore the rule comes very clearly. There is no doubt of these rules. And take from me that all this investigation will in no way, in fact, it will help us to validate Panini rather than to criticize him, or validate Patanjali rather than to criticize him. Though they have not described the whole Shiksha part in this way. I'm sure that it will. For example, yesterday I was reading Shakaraha. If Sha comes after Sha, there are two Shas, Virukti हो रहा है, Shasha. तो Shasha में Shasha है. तो ये ठीक है, एक मूर्धन्य Sha है, एक तालव्य Sha है. But there is a big topic on Savarna that Patanjali has dealt with. I am not being conversant with how he is interpreting it in terms of Panini Sutras. I cannot say much upon it. But I am of the opinion that this investigation will help us understand Panini, Katyayan and Patanjali better than what we understand today. Because we have defined the place of phonation of each of the concepts and why he could make those rules. I'll give you another example. And Patanjali has also said that if you think that there is something wrong, you correct it by making a correct sutra for it. For example, this came of late, it came to my awareness of late. That is, if I say Ghada Dasha and Japa Gada Dasha, now there is a Pratyahara Sha to it. Now, in the case of Ghada Dasha, the Sha that is coming as the Pratyahara is virtually the same that is coming after Japa Gada Dasha. Though we are writing Ghada Dasha Sha to be Murdanya, we do not pronounce it Murdanya. So here the sutra needs to be changed. So instead of it being Ghada Dasha, it should be Dhaga Dasha. Here the Sha, that is the Pratyahara, will become Murdanya. So it will improve it. There is no question of throwing it away. That question doesn't, but it is human. There will be certain, somewhere there will be some, what you can say, lack. Not deficiency, lack. That lack we can correct it. If only and only if the Shiksha part is correct. Without that, just because you feel that your ka is okay, you cannot change it. Therefore, Patanjali says, think of yourself first 1,000 times before you put your finger at the sutra. He is warning each and every reader and each and every person who is making a commentary on it. So we have to be very careful. And I am quite confident, except for this, now this Ghada Dasha and Japa Gada Dasha, the Pratyahara is a problem. So you change it. You say Dhaga Dasha. So Dhaga Dasha, Sha will become Murdanya and Japa Gada Dasha, Sha will remain Talavya. So these are certain things. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, sir, you are clear, sir. One thing is, Prabhakar Mahoday wants you to also throw light on how stammering, that also.
There is stammering. See, one is a stammer. Is one of the reason is at the Pashyanti level there is haste. Haste. You have to coordinate the Pashyanti with the Madhyama, then only the Vaikhari will be correct. If a person is hasteful, he is hasty in his speech, he will falter. One. Second reason for stammer is the language, which is corrupt. Prakrut है ना, वो corrupt है language. So people, I'll tell you, those who stammer will not stammer when they are speaking Sanskrit. If they speak Sanskrit at all, ever speak Sanskrit, they will not stammer. The stammering is because of the weakness of the language rather than the weakness of the individual who is speaking. Unless there is some neurological, as in cerebral palsy. No, there is neurological lag. Here you can't remedy because it is physiological in nature. But where it is non-physiological, the reason for that stammer is not the tongue. It is the mind that is the coalescing of the meaning and the articulation that has to be coalesced at the Pashyanti level. That is being done hastily. That is creating the stammer. Otherwise, the stammer is on account of on account of a defect or corrupt language. So you will not find any Sanskrit speaker stammering. Why? The reason is that language is non-corrupt. It is natural. Have you seen a dog stammering? No. So the stammer is a human interface. That is the language that he is speaking is creating the problem rather than the individual concern. I'll tell you an example. I'll give you an example. If there was a child who used to say ka kha, but he could not say ga gha. He could say cha cha, but could not say ja ja. Now, what was the reason? The reason was in our alphabet, in the Marathi alphabet, ja ja is phonated ahead of cha cha. So what I did was I just put my finger and just stimulated his tongue to go backwards. So ta, ta, da, tha, na. In 1 second, he said all the alphabet. So here it is quite obvious that the spoken language being corrupt. He cannot speak a particular consonant, and these are even in case of refa, ra. Many people cannot pronounce ra and la. What is the problem? The problem is ra and la have to be instructed after they are in a position to say ara and ala. If you directly ask them to say ra, possibly they will not be in a position to say ra. Grammatically, it is ara. For example, in English, it is car. Ra comes after is suffixed to a vowel, ara. Ara. So this is natural. Ra is a fallout, and ra has been made. It is an innovative consonant. So you get my point. So stammer can be addressed by this method, and this is what we call nowadays as speech therapy. This whole framework is a part of speech therapy, and this is purely Indian speech therapy. So this speech therapy can be used to address all speech problems. And I have used them successfully. My daughter is using them successfully because these are problems, and if your tongue is not, it doesn't work accordingly, the child suffers from meaning. For example, how does the language influence meaning? Though Katyayana said Siddhe Shabdartha Sambandhe. True, all of you are Sanskrit literate. I say Kaha Vadati. Now there is immediacy, there is total unity between the word and the meaning of it. But if I say, what is he speaking? You will find that the meaning lacks. After the sentence is complete, you will get the meaning, and that also halfway. But if I say Kaha Vadati, the meaning is immediate. So in Apabhransh languages, the meaning is not as is said by Katya and Siddhe Shabdartha Sambandhi. On account of the insufficiency of the language. Suppose a person is taking a crowbar and trying to dig a hole. crowbar doesn't have a point. The problem is not with the person, but with the crowbar. The crowbar should be sharp. If you are trying to cut a tomato with a knife and the tomato is not being cut, the problem is not with you, it is with the knife. So language as the instrument is very important. So what language you are speaking is as important for gathering meaning as the meaning itself or the word itself is concerned. And therefore they are saying, and what Sanskrit grammar says is that there can be only 18 pratyaharas for nouns, for verbs, and 21 pratyaharas for nouns. There can be no less and no more. So each and every language has a different, not pratyay. There can be only so many pratyayas. There can be no more pratyayas in it. So if our language is trying to say that, we don't want your pratyaya. We will take other group of pratyayas as each Indian language has done. What is happening? The word structure is getting deformed and communication gets deformed. So what Sanskrit is saying is true. So should I proceed?
Sir, please proceed, sir.
Yes, proceed.
You are doing a great job by promoting Sanskrit, and it needs to be promoted. And people need to become aware that this is a language par excellence. And it cannot be created. You cannot transform another language into Sanskrit, because the pratyayas will pose severe problems. And you will have to take up Sanskrit pratyayas, then it will become Sanskrit. Moving, okay. So thus at points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we get consonants ta, cha, ta, tha, cha, ta, da, ja, da, dha, jha, da, and yana, yana, yana. We will call these posteriorly phonated consonants as hard consonants. Here too before, phonologists have only demarcated areas. Now here, that is what I have shown you in this. They have only demarcated areas. They have not said where each of the class consonant is phonated with respect to the previous one. So where is ka phonated with respect to ka? Where is ga phonated with respect to ka? That they are not describing. So it is halfway. Ahead, going ahead. Each area is marked with numbered. However, that is not sufficient for a detailed study of phonation of Sanskrit letters. Each area is marked with numbered points in the diagram, showing the place of phonation of successive letters, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, and so on for all classes. Thus, though the tongue can be, ye pada na hum logo. This we have, one needs to configure. The tongue can be pressed against the roof of the oral cavity only at specific points given in the diagram. One needs to configure the muscles of the face and tongue in different ways while pressing the tongue against the roof of the oral cavity. So, while you are saying ta and you are not pressing it, you are not plosively phonating it, you will not know the muscles which are being used. When you press, you will know the exact muscles which are being used. So this is important. Therefore, pressing the tongue against the palate is important. One needs to configure the muscles while pressing the tongue against the roof of the oral cavity at each of the points given in the diagram. This is also the case while pressing the lips against one another. Further, different muscles are used to press the tongue against the points on the alveolar, post-alveolar, palatal, velar, pharynx, and lips to voice the consonants of the soft and hard cha, ta, ta, ka, and pa class. In fact, letters are distinguished from one another not only by the sound that is produced, but also by the specific external effort invested by the muscles of the neck and face to press the tongue against the specific points in the oral cavity. Now, this is a part of the Madhyama. So, which are the muscles, which are the articulators, and how are you using them? The human brain does not record words or sounds like a tape recorder. The stimuli that the brain sends out sequentially to each of the muscle bundles that are used while voicing words helps in memorizing words or word sequences. The beauty lies in the fact that the stimuli generated by vibrations of the eardrum resonate with the muscular stimulus needed to phonate those sounds. Thus, the acoustic, the auditory, and the articulatory parts of speech merge in one-to-one correspondence, and thus it is recorded as memory in the brain, helping man to transfer speech sounds from one generation to another. Now, when I say ka, what is happening? As I said, that the madhyama gets alive. The sound that is going into the ear is coordinated with the muscle that has to be energized for the madhyama to appreciate it. That remains dormant. And finally, at the Pashyanti level, you see it as a ka. So, basically, word memory is not acoustic, it is neural, neuromuscular. Human memory is not acoustic. Take this sentence from me. Human memory is not acoustic. It is muscular, neuromuscular. This is what, therefore, it is simple. When you walk, suppose you are going to a new place and you have gone to somebody's house, the second time, the neuromuscular memory starts working. You are seeing what are the surroundings and you then get your way to the required flat. Now here this memory is not lingual, but this is neuromuscular memory. For example, how do we sense a distance? By the amount of muscle exhaustion. This is neurologically recorded and it was not so far. It was near, somewhere near. So this, but however in language, this is going through the auditory part. Moving ahead, let us now look into each of the areas. The alveolar and post-alveolar together, 520. In 10 minutes we will complete. Have 4 points. VSS 1, 2, 3, 4, whereupon the tongue being pressed results in the inhibition of respiration. Now what happens? This point is important. Suppose you press your lips against one another. What is happening? Your respiration that you cannot exhale and you open your mouth, immediately the air gets passed. So that is what MA says, ka. So while you are articulated the point ka, the respiration is arrested. The moment you release the tongue, the air gushes through the mouth. So thus this is how the voice is created. The tongue being pressed results in the inhibition of respiration. At each of the points, the tongue can be pressed into ये हो गया. ठीक है. ये नहीं पढ़ा था क्या हमने? ये नहीं, ये important है. अभी क्या है आगे? ये है. One will now appreciate the uniformity in the articulation and voicing of the consonants of each class. Thus, th is voiced one step behind the is voiced one step behind the, and so on for all class of consonants. Therefore, we say ka, kha, ga, 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 each one behind the other. And so on for all classes of consonants, whether soft or hard. It is also necessary to appreciate that the alternate consonants are aspirates of the preceding consonant. That is, the consonants kha of ka, ga of ga, and so on in both the soft and the hard consonants. It is in order to neutralize the effort of aspiration that kha is voiced one step posteriorly to ka, and so on with all aspirates. It is necessary to reflect upon the two hers. Which of the two hers is added to make ka into a kha? Now a kha has a ha in it. The ka doesn't have a ha. But in the Maheshwar Sutras, there are two has. Haya Varata, ha is there. Hala, ha is there. Which of these two has are coalesced into ka to make ka? From where does this ka come? So if you look at it more minutely, you will find that to phonate ka, the tongue is retracted one place behind. And when you say ka, you see that the tongue moves forward and is brought back. Now, why is it moved forward? Because the ha is the most anterior to all the letters. So with every aspirated letter, kha, gha, cha, jha, so you will see that the tongue goes ahead and is brought back to take the ha, which is most anterior. It is actually as if we are lifting a thing. Ha is ahead, so we put our hand ahead and then bring it back. So this is how the aspirates come into being. That is kha and gha, or cha and jha, or tha and tha, or tha and dha, or tha and bha come into being. Now, how it is different? It is very important. Now, in Sanskrit or in most Indian languages, this kha aspirate has the ha in of Ayavarata. But in many foreign languages, especially in Arabic, this kha, the ka is aspirated with the ha of the Allah. So instead of they saying kha, they say kha. They take the tongue once totally behind. But if you do this, what is happening? You can't say gha by suffixing the ha to it. This is the problem. So they don't have that letter. So that aspirate is not there. If you aspirate it with the help of the ha of higher varata, then you get all these the aspirated consonants. That ka is voiced one step posteriorly to ka, and so on with all aspirates. It is necessary to reflect upon the two has. Which of the two has is added to make ka into a ka? It should be noted that the ha of higher varata is added to ka to make ka, and not the ha of hala. In the aspirated consonants, kha, kha, cha, jha, tha, dha, tha, dha, pa, bha, and the soft ha, which is anterior most, is added. The rule one behind the other is not possible. Therefore, to transform tha to tha, we need to first draw the tongue one step back from point 1 to point 2 to voice the aspirate. One will notice that while voicing tha, the tongue is immediately drawn backward while voicing the consonant. However, while voicing tha, we find that the tongue moves slightly forward before it is drawn backward.
Ananta काफी अच्छे से
Huh? As the aspirate ha is anterior to all the plosive consonants, the aspirate is heard distinctly. Thus, we make groups ka, kha, ga, gha, cha, cha, ja, jha, and so on for the soft and the hard consonants. The contemporary classification of hard and soft consonants as ka, kha, and ga, gha respectively is a misconceived concept. This concept has come from Marathi, by the way. When we are saying our Barakhadi in Marathi, we say ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, ya. Two behind, two in front. So this they have done it in this way. So ka, kha becomes pharyngeal, ga, gha becomes velar, cha, cha becomes palatal, ja, jha becomes alveolar. So this is actually the Marathi alphabet for your information. We all are South Indians, but in Marathi it goes like this. Therefore, this classification has come. The contemporary classification of hard and soft consonants as ka, kha, ga, gha is a misconceived consonant. Thus, there are soft ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, and hard ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, and so on in the cha, ta, and tha class consonants. Therefore, from a total number of 23 points, we move 41 we voice 41 letters consisting of 25 hard plosive consonants and 6 soft plosive consonants. Somebody is speaking. Thus, 4 soft nasals counted as excluding yamas in the contemporary classification of letters have not been counted in the plosive consonants. The table below will give a clear picture as to the points of articulation of each of the 41 plosive consonants. So here I have said articulation velar, ka, kha, ga, gha. This is soft. Cha, cha, ja, ja. Alveolar, post-alveolar. Ta, tha, da, da. Ta, tha, da, da. Though per class consonants have been included in the sutras ka, cha, ta, ta, par, yet while counting the soft plosive consonants, they have not been included in the above table, as they do not have 2 variants. Why they don't have 2 variants? Because the area of the lip has only 1 area. You can't have another 2 lips. So there is only 1 area. So you have only 1 group of per class consonants. Now similarly, I put the hard plosive consonants 25 number. Ka, kha, ga, ga, nga. Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya. Ta, tha, da, da, na. Ta, tha, da, da, na. And pa, pha, ba, ba, ma. Note, the sutras for the soft and hard plosive consonants have been voiced without conjoining them with any of the Achyut vowels and also without intonation. Now, again, this is the scientific part. What are the features of sound sensitivity in humans? And how does the human brain distinguish the k from the kh or ga or any other plosive consonant for that matter? When a speaker and a listener are at a distance from each other or in adjacent rooms, the listener cannot comprehend completely and clearly what the speaker is saying. What happens? It is therefore necessary to understand the brain interprets words through the ear. The answer to this question is that the brain recognizes each of the consonant by place. The plosive consonants have a rich mid-frequency spectrum, and the ear recognizes the consonant sounds by place and not by frequency, because the neurons cannot fire at more than 1000 hertz per second. Now, if you have to hear or sense anything about more than 1000 hertz, the ear can only sense it by place in the cochlea, not by frequency. Though of a lower dB, around minus 36 dB, the brain recognizes the place and hence the consonant. So the consonant is recognized by the brain differently than how the vowel is recognized. The vowel is recognized by frequency, whereas the consonant is recognized by place principle. As the mid-frequency spectrum is damped across a distance, the listener cannot make sense of what a person is speaking, because that the consonant sound is of a lesser amplitude. So that gets damped, and so he hear sound, but he cannot interpret the word. Thus, as the mid-frequency spectrum is damped across a distance, the listener cannot make sense of what a person is speaking. Thus, the importance of consonants in speech. It is similar to the value change in the decimal system in mathematics. The value of 1 changes to 10 when we move 1 from the unit place to the 10th place, and so on. So this is how. So 1 in the unit place, this is 10, this is 100, this is 1000, this is 1000. All are 1. But by place, that 1 becomes different. Here we see, now how is ka different from ka? For no other reason than because the place has changed. Similarly, as in the decimal system. That is how, in fact, the opposite is the case. See, in Indian philosophy, place has great importance. This is not the case with other philosophies. Place has no importance. So, place is important. So, ka is differentiated from kha by place. Here we see that the value of 1 changes in multiples of 10 each time it is moved one place to the left. In the same way, ka changes to kha to ga to gha, and finally to nga on account of a step-by-step change in the place of phonation. Thus, ka, or for that matter, any other plosive consonant, is only the acoustic output of the specific place in the oral cavity, which the listener can appreciate. Thus, this is how the brain recognizes consonants. Hence, ka, kha, ga, ga, nga are addressed as ka class consonants. Cha, cha, ja, ja, ya are addressed as cha class because they are all chas. As in the above case, all are ones. Only the place has changed. So here we can club one as a single symbol. So cha, cha, ja, ja, ya is a class by itself. So this is what Indians have done, that they have clubbed ka, kha, ga, ga, nga as a class, cha, cha, ja, ja, ya as a class, ta, ta, da, da, da as a class. Now, the final paragraph. What are the benefits of phoneting or voicing the consonants appropriately in the aforesaid manner? The sound produced is clearer and louder. Post phonation of a letter, the tongue assumes its rest or neutral position, that is on the floor of the oral cavity. So that is the beginning for the next letter. The abdominal muscles meter the air pushed while voicing consonants, and hence all consonants are voiced with the same internal effort. So the voicing, the effort for pushing the air out is one and the same. The sound produced has a rich mid-frequency acoustic, thus enabling the listener to distinguish consonant sounds by place. This method enables the listener to distinguish between consonants and non-consonants, the rest of the letter. The plosives act as markers of time, thus coordinating speech with the internal rhythm. So these consonants are time markers. The short vowels a, I, u following the consonants modulate to the preceding consonant. Now this 18 anas is there. The short vowels, that is the a, I, una, are 18 in number. Not all the vowels are. Only ana vowels are 18 in number. So this is because this a gets modulated at each of the above places. And thus the okara in takara is a different a than the akara in khakara. So the a changes. And therefore we get 18 anas. This is another aspect which we will deal in great detail in the section on vowels or other letters of the Sanskrit language. The auditory place principle is used collaterally with the formants, that is the shape of the sound wave, to determine the articulation of speech sound. Auditory appreciation gets two-dimensional. So the consonant sound is of a higher frequency than the vowel sound. So the ear can interpret it in a two-dimensional manner. So when I say ka, you are interpreting ka and a simultaneously. So sound is becoming two-dimensional. Spota or plosion is said to be the nature of the word. However, we need to restrict plosion only to the consonants. The spota is a very important ingredient of a word. A word, besides carrying meaning, has also to draw the attention of the listener. The spota, just as it has to be like a firecracker. When a firecracker goes off, your attention is immediately drawn. Why? Because of spota. So spota is important, and that is how you, if there is clarity in the phonation of consonants, the listener will get what you can call glued into what you are speaking. So he will listen and he will also draw meaning from it. Thus, therefore, the word form has to be impulsive to the speaker and compulsive to the listener. Spota is of the nature of lightning, meaning vidyulata, comprising light, sound, and form or Akruti. Thus, the plosive consonants form a separate class of letters. Thank you very much. Here I have come to the end. If you have any questions, you feel free to ask. I think we have given.
Can you throw light again? Which are the plosive consonants you mean now? Finally, conclude. Which are the plosive consonants?
The class consonants. Ka varga, cha varga, ta varga, and pa varga.
These 5 are plosive consonants.
They are plosive consonants.
And what is the difference between Mrudu Vyanjana and Karkas Vyanjana in pronunciation?
Yes, Mrudu Vyanjana is simple difference is colloquially speaking, all South Indians speak. There are ka, kha, ga, ga, there are 25 consonants that they speak. They are all soft consonants. And all those Hindi speaking people, they use hard consonants for speech. They will speak कहा गया था, ये क है ना, ये कहा, ये क ये फेरिंजियल होता है उनका. और हम लोग जब बोलेंगे, इवन मराठी बोलेंगे तो कहा गया था, इधर हम लोग सॉफ्ट कॉन्सोनेंट यूज कर रहे हैं. सो द बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन नॉर्थ इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस एंड साउथ इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस is on account of the place of phonation of the class consonants. So, vandu, yardu, the and the da are alveolar. In vandu, yardu, muru, nalakku, they are all, abhi in nalakku mein na jo hai, ye yama hai, ye swar hi hai. इसमें कोई कांटेक्ट नहीं है. So South Indian languages have evolved through the use of these soft plosive consonants. Whereas North Indian languages mostly, if we check them, you will find that hard consonants are being used. For example, I'll tell you what is the difference. For example, in Marathi, we say kattal. That is, there is a virukti in takar. Kattal. Why? Why a virukti is there? Because we are using the soft ka, kattal. If you go to Hindi speaking belt, they will not say kattal. Katal kiya. Katal kiya. Abhi ye katal kiya to ka becomes pharyngeal. So they can, the virukti goes. Therefore, there is lot of discussion on what is the right virukti and the wrong virukti. What is virukti according to grammar and which is not a virukti according to grammar. Sanskrit grammar, बाकी तो कहीं भी कुछ भी करते हैं, पर संस्कृत में विरुक्ति का वजह है और उसके ऊपर तो पाणिनि ने तो सूत्र लिखे हैं ना विरुक्ति को. तो ये बात है. So generally speaking, you will find that the South Indian languages use the soft plosive consonants, and therefore South Indians are averse to Hindi, and Hindi speaking belt is averse to South Indians. Because though they are saying ka, the class consonants, their kas are different because the place of articulation are different. And in Sanskrit, both are used. Both are used. You add some, because each of these class consonants, they are savarnas of one another. Therefore, the hard plosive consonants in Sanskrit are, the soft plosive consonants in Sanskrit are savarna of the hard plosive consonants. Therefore, the sutra Jharo Jhari Savarne, there is a sutra in the last, not Ani, in the last pada of the Ashtadhyayi, Jharo Jhari. What is it? Savarne. So they are saying that the hard consonants, that the soft consonants are savarnas of the hard plosive consonants. There ends the matter. Have you any other question?
No, the same thing. I hope it's not clear to me. You are told the same ka is being pronounced as soft in one place and hard at one place. That is not my question. My question is, in a Varge Vyanjana, first two are called Karkasa Vyanjanas and next three are called soft Vyanjanas. What is the difference between how to pronounce this Karkasa Vyanjana and how to pronounce this Vyanjana?
Should I stop sharing this?
Yeah, please give it may need no to show where from this Karkasa Vyanjana sound is coming, where from this Murdu Vyanjana sound is
Sorry,
coming.
sorry. I'll explain. I'll explain how suppose you cannot you are not in a position to appreciate because in your speech it is not there. How do you say that? It will come later on. For example, una is there. Now for hard plosive ka, that is the pharyngeal ka, you can phonate it as kakikuna. You will not be in a position to phonate at the place where you are phonating, that is at the velar place. But if you say kakikuna, here the ka is invariably pharyngeal. You are anybody you can try. You say kakikuna. So, and the ka that you are saying, the frequency of that ka is different. Ata, for example, your ka matches with this ka in Marathi. That is kapala. Kapala. This is the ka which you are mentioning when you are saying ka. However, in Marathi, you have a different ka that is kattal. This ka is different from kapala. The two kas are there in Marathi. Huh? Therefore, it is also called as an upper-pronounced language because it is very near. And I, being a Marathi speaker, I can through Marathi itself, I can distinguish the two kas because we have words, different words. For I'll give you 1 minute. I'll stop sharing. I'll share some other. There is there. I'll 1 minute. 1 minute.
As you say, two kas are there in Marathi. There are two chas are there in two chas and two jas are there in Telugu.
Ja.
Okay, but my question is, first two are Karkasa Vyanjanas, ka, kha. And next three are ga, ga, nya. They are Murdu Vyanjanas.
See,
I'm asking that difference. I'm not asking the difference of ka itself as Murdu or Karkasha. I'm asking the difference between ka, kha versus ga, ga, nya.
No, Abhi, this what they have made, and that is why I recited the Marathi Barakadi or the alphabet. Now, Marathi people, and even in Telugu, I have heard it. It is ka, kha, ga, gha. It is not ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. It is ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. So, it has come, and I'll tell you that these Sanskrit grammarians must have a Marathi basis for it or a Telugu basis for it. Otherwise, this classification will not come. The classification is on the basis of how the person who has written that grammar or that Shiksha part, it depends upon his phonation. And for example, I'll give an example. You say kaka and you say kaka. You'll see that the two sounds, the frequencies of those two consonants are different. I say kaka and I say kaka. One is a raised higher frequency sound and one is a lower frequency sound. Secondly, it is, suppose I say cha-cha and I say cha-cha. There is a difference in frequency. So that frequency difference exists as far as Sanskrit is concerned. In other languages, they might have a great mix. For example, I'll give you, don't take it as an allegation, but the first Vartik of the Mahavashya states that akarasya vimruttopadeshe akarasya grahanartha. Now, what is happening is that in spoken languages, in many places, a is not pronounced properly. That is, it has to be a. What is the reason? The akarasya vivrutopadesha akarasya grahanartha. What is the problem? The problem is that you cannot distinguish between the akara and the akara. Here, Patanjali has discussed a lot on whether time is the difference. He says, no, time is outside the asya. So time is not the reason. The reason is the prayatna for it. So if you say, and that is how we have been taught. It is not personal to anybody. That is how the language has evolved. That is unique to that language. But to see Marathi into Sanskrit is incorrect. Because Marathi is also an equally, as I said in my last webinar, that it is also an equally corrupt. But however, for example, I tell you, we have a word called chinta. Now here, there are two chas. This is a Marathi word, chinta. These two words, the first cha is different from the second cha. Chi is alveolar, the second cha is palatal. Now, this has given me clues for this investigation. In Marathi, there are a lot of words. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute. I'll. Where is the Zoom meeting? Where I've left.
Sir, what is, sir? You can continue.
No, but I'm not getting the whole this.
Okay, okay.
क्या कुछ तो भाई problem.
This is clear, sir.
I'll
Voice is very clear.
just leave and come back. I'll just connect.
Yes, sir.
Am I?
You're audible, sir. You're visible and audible.
I
You can
say
just-
I can't see. Okay, we will continue. I'm just moving out for a second. I just want
Sure.
to. I'll give you
I'll make you co-host once you are there.
1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Sir, you're back. You're there on screen.
One second. So, 1 second. 1 minute. So I'll next time when I come next time, next time we will work on vowels, and at that point this will be very clear, and I will draw it into where I'll give you a Sanskrit word which has in one word one ka is used, in the other word the other ka is used. In one it is a soft ka. For example, I'll give you an example. You take the example of vadati. So vadami, vadamah, vadamah, vadati, vadatah, vadatha, vadatha, vadati, vadati, vadata, vadanti. Now in this, if you see the part of it, vadami, vadava, vadamah, vadasi, vadatha, vadatha, vadati, vadataha, vadanti. Now here if you look at the changes. Vadami, vadavah, vadamah, the is soft. Vadasi, vadatah, 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 vadatah is again soft. But vadati, vadatah, vadanti, this is hard. So in Sanskrit, even while making this, they are using it. 1 minute, I'll just leave and come back. I think I should, because I can't see. 1 minute.
Okay, sir.
Ah. Now am I visible?
You are visible, sir. You are visible.
I am okay. I was not okay. So I had to go back. So here,
Visible continuously.
Raoji, I will tell you that I will explain it to you, because what is happening, I'll tell you that in each region of India, Sanskrit is phonated according to their mother tongue. We need to get it standardized again with the help of the Shiksha part. So these things are what are hampering the progress of Sanskrit. And they are also, so you have different grammars. A grammarian from North India will interpret Ashtadhyayi differently than a person in South India. Not because the Sanskrit is different, because his spoken language is different. And many of the times, I doubt that these grammarians who are there, right, even Bhattoji Dixit, they are coming from this region of India, wherein they have this peculiar phonetic practice. And from that point of view, they are trying to interpret the Ashtadhyayi. The Ashtadhyayi should be interpreted from the point of view of the Maheshwar Sutras alone. You can't interpret from the point of view of a regional language and what I am phonetic. So unless we have a pakka shiksha part, which goes through and through, we will not be in a position to interpret the Ashtadhyayi. It will be superficially interpreted. For example, I'll tell you, Patanjali, Panini comes from North India. Patanjali is said to be from South India. Now there is a difference in the interpretation. What is the problem? The problem is that Patanjali could not bring out a separate Shiksha Path. Shiksha Path has come subsequently. Though he is totally of the opinion that Maheshwar Sutras are meant for learned Sanskrit Pandits to learn how to phonate each letter. Now you find I've in the past webinar also I've said, you see how they phonate. Yes, Maheshwar Sutra, how they phonate, a North Indian posting on Maheshwar Sutra on YouTube and a South Indian posting on Maheshwar Sutra on YouTube, you will find that their articulations are different. Now this has to be overcome. How do we overcome this? By laying the Shiksha part correct. And Shiksha part has, here itself I have given that you can define and verify. For example, you can say Kakarah and Kakarah. You try it out. One is hard, Kakarah, and the second is Kakarah. You can say Kaka, you can say Kaka. These are two different frequencies. And these two different frequencies are because the place of phonation is different. For example, giving from Sangeet, from music, why do you say Rishabh is Shuddha and Rishabh is Komal? You are saying that it is the same Rishabh. Rishabh is Shuddha also, Rishabh is Komal also. Gandhar is Shuddha also, Gandhar is Komal also. Both of them are there. Does it not amount that there is a reason to believe? And here I have proved it, that there are in fact one Shuddha and the second Komal. So there are ragas in which only Komal swaras are used. That can happen. I think Bhairavi is one of them. And you can have a mix. You can have some of the swaras are Shuddha and some are Komal. So we have evidence that there can be two Ka vargas, there can be two Cha vargas, there can be two Ta vargas, there can be two Ta vargas. Why not? If music, it is apparent in across the board, everywhere. You have a A sharp and an A. You have a B sharp and a B. So how do you come? Why you have to? Why did they say that one? They should have put A B C D E F G H I J K L M for 12 saras. They did not do it. Why have they put one soft, one shuddha and one komal, or one flat and the other as it is? In fact, their A is the soft one and the A sharp. We do it in the opposite way. We say Re Shuddha and Re Komal. And even why you are asking me, the Saregama Pa that is recited, this Sargam which is recited in South India is different from the Sargam that is recited in North India. North India Sargams are recited with Shuddha Swaras. In South India, Sargam is recited with Komal Swaras. Am I right or wrong? You're getting this? So there is lot of evidence around. There is nothing new in it. So what I'm saying is, if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. And the next, so those in South India need to become aware of the hard consonants, and those in North India need to become aware of the soft consonants. They are there. They are nothing new. They are not people from a different planet. They are from this planet
Okay.
itself.
Got
However,
it.
fusion of languages.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. It's a very excellent discussion on the subject, and it's a very research topic, and many people are much aware of this subject also. So it's difficult for us to interact better than this. However, we hope in future people will come forward with more knowledge and discuss with you on this subject. So it's a very interesting topic and to be looked into more detailedly by everybody, so that this will be the main conclusion. What you said was the Maheshwar Sutras to be properly implemented in Panini Vyakaranam. That's what the main point you would like to bring out. Yeah, that's what well understood. Dhanyavadaha. So let us close.
Yes,
here.
sir.
Lalita ji, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Mahodaya. Dhanyavadaha, Acharya ji. You have really thrown light on a very eccentric subject, we can say, in Sanskrit, and about the pronunciation. So far, we hadn't concentrated, though they has been told in the Maheshwar Sutras. This kind of focused discussion happened today. We thank you once again on behalf of Veda Samskruti Samiti and all the students and Acharya, our patron ji, to you for your kind lecture today. Now, to conclude this session, I request Sudhir Pattarji to recite the mantra, chant the mantra, and afterwards we'll all have the national anthem. Sudhir Pattarji, please do that.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितो ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः अपुत्राः पुत्रिणः सन्तु पुत्रिणः सन्तु पौत्रिणः अधनाः सधनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदां शतं सत्यं वद धर्मं चर स्वाध्यायान् मा प्रमदः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ ॐ सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु स्वस्ति.
Dhanyavadaha, Sudhirji. And now let us all stand for the national anthem. Sudhir Pattarji, kindly recite the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind. Jai Hind. Jai
Jai
Shri
Hind.
Jai
Ram.
Hind. Dhanyavadah, Sudhirji. Mahodaya, shall I close the session?
Yes.
Yeah. Dhanyavadah to Sarvebhyaha and to the faculty Achyut Karveji. I'll end the session now. Thank you all once again.
Dhanyawad Karveji. Namaskar.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri.
Jai Sri Ram.